Mr. President. We've had several people sign in tonight. The first is Mr. Bob Holden, who'd like to speak about school closing. Mr. Holden, I'll remind you after 3 minutes.
All right, thank you.
You're welcome.
How are you doing? Nice to see us all again. I've been asking people for questions, anything that they have to ask that they're not willing to come ask or they're afraid to ask. Some people aren't comfortable, so I'm just gonna get right to them. I'm gonna spit them all out there if there's anything after that. The first one I got, it is, we have Myers, GAR, Coughlin, which you said you cannot afford. So after the merger, you will have the new school, GAR, Mackin, and an extension on Kistler. How is that gonna be any different? Are you closing Coughlin November 1st? How is the budget impasse gonna affect the school district? Are you planning on borrowing in order to bridge the budget? I mean, you kind of just hit on that. Why was approximately $240,000 spent on Coughlin if we had planned on closing it? Who did the work and who determined it that Coughlin needed to be closed? I believe it was $240,000 on the courtyard.
Fall protection, Bob?
I believe so. Why would a project be started without a guarantee of funding or reimbursement? What is the plan for Coughlin juniors and seniors? What amount was the final cost of Mackin? And is the board guaranteed, is the bond guaranteed, I'm sorry. Do we have the borrowing capacity? How many teachers are needed per X amount of students? So if you have 7 students per room, how many teachers do you need per student? What is the amount of buses we'll need if and when it goes through? How many and at what price? Our projected savings coming from teacher attrition. And Myers has the only life skills class in the secondary schools in the district. Will the new school accommodate that? And just this was mine, I saw this in there. Are we paying tuition for people going to Holy Redeemer? And that's it. Thank you very much.
I tried to write as many questions as
I know, I didn't want to run out of time. I mean,
and that was pretty good.
Well, I did. A lot of people had some questions, and I want to make sure you get them out there further.
Well, I can address some of the, you said 240,000, and we have our team. I don't know if Mr. Leonard's here this evening. I don't see him.
No,
he's not. Once again, I'll have to check into that, Mark, if it was that high. It's all about the safety of the kids in that building. You're saying 240,000 for fall protection, Bob. It could have been that high. I'm not sure. I don't think it was. But again, Mr. Leonard's not here. Understand the goal of this board and myself when we heard about the condition of Coughlin High School, and it was Mr. Leonard, our expert, and our team of experts who talked to us, and I personally was up on the roof several times examining what they were talking about. My fear was at Coughlin was the idea that, of course, trying to avoid any harm to any child or personnel as well. Who made the decision in regard to Coughlin High School being closed is one of the questions, I think.
Yes.
Are you talking about the main building where now, as of January, where our 11th and 12th graders will be housed in the annex, and the 9th and 10th graders will go up to Mackin, is again to assure their safety. And the decision was, I had brought it to the board about that, and I have just discussed this evening again, and I wanted to, and I could show you, Bob, if you'd like, the options that were looked into prior to the idea of Mackin, one of our own schools, and also the annex, of course, our own school. When Coughlin, when the issues of Coughlin came about, and if this was May of 2014, I personally inspected to try to look at any options we had available along with some board members and members of the team. The Blue Cross building, the East End Amato Center, the Alternative Learning Center, the Wilkes-Barre Township building, Mackin eventually, Holy Savior Church, Plains Township Reserve Center, local colleges and universities. I looked at with PDE the possibility of a split schedule between schools, Sacred Heart Elementary, St. Peter's and Paul's Elementary, and a realignment of the current buildings to assure the safety of the students at Coughlin High School. I think we exhausted every possibility in regard to that situation, Bob. And remember, we only had a limited amount of time to deal with this in regard to school opening. So we were trying to work quickly on this. I think we did a pretty good job in trying to look at every facility that was brought to our attention. I don't know if there's any other, go ahead.
A couple supplements. You had asked about who had done the work at Coughlin for the fall protection. It was bid. It was a public bid. Marpol was the low bidder and was awarded that contract to do that work, and they did perform that work based upon that bid. The Mackin final cost, I don't have that number right in front of me, but I can tell you Mackin is on schedule and under budget with regard to what was budgeted for contingencies during the project. Gary, where are we at percentage of contingency?
It's like 1.6%, a change order.
And we had budgeted 7%?
Yes.
Yeah, so it's 1.6 in the contingency, we had budgeted 7%, so
Yeah.
we're under budget and on time for Mackin.
Right.
Okay.
You made a question about the borrowing capacity. There's a couple issues to that. As far as the district's borrowing capacity, we're nowhere near our borrowing capacity as far as the amount of debt we can incur under the Debt Act. We actually have very little current debt right now, and so as far as what we could borrow under the Debt Act, we're not even close to that. And even going through this project, we wouldn't be close to exhausting it. So that that question I think was directed toward the Debt Act. So we are not at the limits of what we can borrow under the Debt Act. You had one question about the number of schools and how many buildings we will have if the projects go forward as anticipated. My recollection is just generically, ballpark figures with the new construction and the consolidation of the two schools, and even with the addition to the Kistler building, we still have approximately 90,000 square feet less of building space that we'd be occupying, heating, providing electricity to, and you have all that new space, which would be much more energy efficient than the old space. And I was trying to scribble down quickly as you were talking. And you had a question about a Holy Redeemer student. My understanding is we have one special education student that, with regard to the IEP, we are paying for that child to attend Holy Redeemer.
Okay, thank you.
That's just one student.
All right.
It's because of an IEP.
That was my question.
Yes.
Did you have also a question, Bob, about the size of class size in regard to the new building?
Yeah, the person that what they asked was, is there, for each classroom, is there supposed to be, I know, is there supposed to be an X amount of teachers for X amount of students?
We're going to have our class size in the new school, and currently right now would be no more than 24 per teacher, so 24 students per teacher. And I did hear there was a question, Bob, about life skills.
Yes.
There would be life skills in the new building, plus any additional needs, special ed needs that we would have that we could see, coming forward in the future within our district.
Okay, thank you.
Bob, was the question about Coughlin closing November 1st answered?
Kinda. I coach rec softball, or soccer, I'm sorry, and I had the ref at the last game. It was Cosmos. I actually coached for Cosmos. Came over and told me that Coughlin was closing on November 1st because we were just all yapping about the schools and all this, and then I'm pretty vocal about it. I won't lie to you. And he said that he's been told that it's being closed November 1st, and they're not sure where they were putting the juniors and seniors.
The plan, Bob, is to wait till after the Christmas break. That way we can work out any bugs in regard to the movement of these.
For the 9th and 10th graders.
Right.
Because just about the 11th and 12th graders would still stay at the annex.
Okay.
All right, for the remainder of the school year, correct?
Correct.
All right, thank you very much.
Thanks, Mr.
Thank you.